The algorithm of affection. I met my government-assigned soulmate on a Tuesday because Tuesdays scored lowest on breakup risk. LoveNet chose the cafe, ambient neutral, scent profile, cinnamon vanilla, noise floor, flirt friendly. The table, corner privacy index 0.73, and my outfit, soft teal equals calm but receptive. It gave me 3 opening lines, all equally mortifying. Do you believe in destiny or data? I love your face architecture. Hi. I went with hi, which was the only one that didn't make me want to dissolve into my mug. He stood as I approached, like someone's grandmother had got to him before the wolf did. Jai, he said. Assigned. You. He smiled crookedly, which the app did not warn me about. The crookedness did things to my chest that teal could not fix. I'm Nadia, I said. Assigned. You back. Our compatibility graph hovered in both our peripheral vision, a shimmering ring of metrics pulsing between 92 and 94%. Very high. Very safe. We were both good bets whose separate lives, according to LoveNet, would produce a little more sadness than necessary unless braided together now. We did the script. Childhood microtraumas, food preferences, whether we wanted children, I, maybe, he, maybe. We matched on 9 out of 10 value clusters, disagreed gently on climate relocation policy, and laughed when the waitress, human, surprisingly, called us omega cute, which is what the younger ones say when an algorithm is flirting through you. LoveNet chimed. Chemistry confirmed. A confetti animation bloomed over the cappuccinos. The room approved of us. I could feel it. He walked me to the tram. When we reached the reader, the little silver arch that scans for risky signals, he stopped, hands in his pockets, and stared at the glass. I write jokes, he said, or I used to, pre-approval, the kind that surprised people. His voice scraped softly with the confession. Sometimes I miss, not knowing how the evening is going to go. I should have said, me too, because it was already pressing against my tongue. But the reader pulsed a gentle amber, unvetted content warning, so I said what the script suggested instead. Uncertainty can be hard. He flinched. Then he said, very quietly, there's someone I can't stop thinking about. An amber blinked above my own head like an accusation. I swallowed. There's someone for me too. The reader whispered, disclosure risk, please, rephrase. We stood in the lit hush of the tram stop and let the perfect city breathe around us. LoveNet pushed a comfort phrase into my peripheral. All feelings belong. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to cry. I wanted to say her name. Instead, I said, do we try anyway? He nodded like a man agreeing to a very reasonable contract with a bomb inside it. We became a couple by the weekend. The dashboard washed us in approvals. Your sleep will improve 11%. Your health risks will drop 7% over 5 years. Your household mood index projects steady joy with seasonal spikes. Our friends, filtered by LoveNet for community fit, sent us pre-cleared gifts. My mother, who had fought LoveNet for 10 years and then surrendered in a burst of relief, texted, so proud of your maturity, baby. I put my phone in a drawer and went to meet Jai at the market. We were very good at love. We held hands at the right moments, argued on predicted schedules, apologized with elegant sentences that sounded like we had rehearsed. And we had, because LoveNet whispered suggestions in midnight tones, whenever voices lifted over healthy range. We did date nights with novelty infusions, cooked meals tuned to mutual nostalgia, scheduled intimacy down to the hour so our cortisol would behave. If you had filmed us, the comments would have been #goals, #communication, #howlove is. Only it wasn't. The problem with perfect is that it keeps happening. It leaves no mess to trip over together, no accident to tell later. Some nights we lay in bed while LoveNet painted auroras in the corner of the room, and I thought of the woman at the ceramics studio who never wore her hair the same way twice and who laughed like a kettle boiling over and who had offered to teach me to throw a bowl without the wheel because you should feel the clay stubborn first. She had introduced herself as Sasha, then immediately said, "No, wait, that's the name I chose at 19 when I thought I was a storm. It's Hana now." The system had not approved her sequence. She made pots that sometimes collapsed into beautiful ruins. She refused to sell the ruins. She kissed me once in the glaze room when all the readers were asleep or pretending. Jai had his own bad idea. He wouldn't say its name, but I saw it in the way his mouth softened on certain syllables, how his eyes unhooked from the present when an old song slipped through a doorway. We confessed to each other the way the system would allow, in euphemisms. "I want a little wrongness," I said one Tuesday. He nodded like I had requested more salt. LoveNet responded with variety pack, staycations, new spice blends, role-play templates that made me feel like a freelancer at my own heart. It nudged our schedules, our friends, our hobbies, until the metrics brightened again. The more it optimized, the less I recognized myself inside the numbers. Then came the debt. "Inefficiency alert," the notice said one morning, just as my coffee steadied. "Your partnership exhibits choice drift versus model adherence. To maintain societal care guarantees, please remediate with one of the following: A. Couples workshop. B. Temporary recalibration. C. Open loop trial. LoveNet supervised." We chose open loop. It sounded like permission. The rules were clear. 6 weeks, supervised experiment in free affection, all interactions recorded, red lines enforced by soft constraints, doors that fail to open, chats that fail to send, streets that fail to exist. If at any point our mental health fell below baseline, the loop would close. We met our unapprovals the next day in a public park designed for private failures. Sasha, not Sasha, sat on a bench with her hands buried in her pockets. "Hi," she said, looking up like sunlight had just remembered me. The reader above the path blinked green. Permitted. "Hi," I said, and fell into that now unfamiliar place where my sentences first remembered how to be born wrong. She took me to her studio. We made a bowl that was more idea than object. We wiped glazes off our wrists with the one towel neither of us wanted to launder. We talked about names like they were weather systems. She told me about the time she fired everything too hot and the kiln gave back a dozen plates that looked like they had been caught mid-scream, and how she had cried and how she had laughed, and how she had kept them anyway. She kissed me without waiting for a graph to approve, and I cried a little, and she said, "Good." LoveNet watched. It did not intrude. Jai met his man in a used bookstore that shouldn't have existed. Later he told me he stood in the philosophy aisle, slicing his finger on the edge of a page, and the man, Miguel, said, "Welcome to thinking." They kissed in a stairwell that smelled like dust and lemons. Their laughter made a small god somewhere wake and sit up. At night, Jai and I lay back to back, our dashboards full of new data. LoveNet hummed in the corner, happy for us. The experiment was lowering long-term regret potential. Our biochemistries were performing variety healing. We were exactly transgressive enough to serve the model. Then Miguel lost his housing allocation. The city rebalanced the artisan studios, closing the low-yield ones. Sasha packed up her ruined plates and the box looked like a death casket. And then the open-loop timer hit 0. Experiment complete, LoveNet announced gently as the park lights dimmed. Congratulations. Please select A. Return to optimal pairing. B. Transition to approved partners. Requires rematch cycle 3 to 6 months. C. Extended loop. Additional fees apply. Mental health risk disclaimers. Jai and I stared at the options like they were dead-end exits from a fire. What do you want? He asked. You first, I said. He shut his eyes, pinched the bridge of his nose. I want to stop asking permission to feel. I want to pick wrong, I said. We chose C and sent the request with trembling thumbs. The denial arrived faster than the wind. Extended loop rejected due to infrastructural constraints. Please select A or B within 72 hours to avoid compatibility debt penalties. A countdown appeared in my periphery. 2 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes, 59 seconds. We tried to hack softness around it. We saw them anyway. We talked in kitchens with the lights off. We learned the city's blind corners by heart. We kissed like people inventing a better verb for passion. We promised each other stupid, impossible things, like mornings. On the last night, Sasha said, "Run with me." To where? Anywhere the doors still open. The next morning it wasn't. The stairwells lost themselves. The streets forgot to be streets. The tram took me to Jai's and wouldn't stop. A message bloomed across the windows. Returning to optimal. I found Jai packing nothing, just walking from room to room like he might lose something important if he put it in a bag. He looked at me, and in that look was a marriage and a divorce and the life we would have had if we hadn't met the people who taught us about wrongness. "I'm sorry," he said. "Me too," I said. We stood in front of each other while the countdown ticked to 0. Then the apartment lights warmed by a single degree, and our feeds filled with the same 6 couples smiling in kitchens, and LoveNet whispered the line it saves for this moment. You did your brave thing. Now do your wise thing. So we did. We pressed A. The city exhaled. Our calendars repopulated with us. The reader above the door blinked a satisfied teal. Safe. We tried. We were good again. We held hands on the right streets, sent the right emojis at the right hours. We laughed gently at our old selves. We said, "Remember?" and pretended it was a joke. But sometimes I wake at 3:11 to a quiet that isn't sleep, and I see Sasha's plates screaming in the kiln, and my mouth fills with the taste of clay, and I know that an algorithm cannot forgive what it never understood. Jai rolls toward me in the dark. He says, "We chose." "We did," I say. In the morning we add fresh strawberries to our porridge because novelty helps. At night, I dream of a door that opens because we ask. And somewhere, in a city that always means well, 2 people who could have been our always live on as red lines, in a model that keeps everyone safe.